make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time.
And what we're going to do, we're going to get right into the show, and we're going to talk about the security issues with Obama and the White House and things of that nature.
Well, as everybody knows, just recently we had a individual who jumped the fence in the White House, and he was able to get into the White House, and he was able to almost get into the Rose Garden in the White House before he was stopped by Secret Service and security.
Well, my issue with that is since Obama been president, a lot of things been happening during his term that have never happened. I'm sure people have jumped the White House fence. I'm sure people probably have even gotten further than that, but they're making it so much of an issue that everything revolves around Obama. It's like it's giving them a bad rap.
Well, I think that what you have to look at is you have to look at the presidency of Barack Obama. When Barack Obama was elected in 2008 for his first term, one of the things that you saw was that, first of all, the campaign was unprecedented. You know, we'd never seen a campaign like that before in modern history. He really inspired a lot of grassroots voters, a lot of new voters came out and voted for President Obama. And so while it was a victory of sorts, it was also a coming out party for a lot of racists and people who might have harbored racist feelings were able to hide behind societal norms and pretend that racism didn't exist.
Well, I think with Obama becoming president, racism has rooted its ugly head 10 times over.
Absolutely.
You know, all the things that, even like with the black on black crime and the police brutality, it's just, I don't understand. It's like things that got worse.
Well, you know, I've often, I like to speak in plain language. I've often put it in terms of like an ugly room or a dirty room. I mean, like you ever see kids, you go into your kid's room and it looks clean, but they got everything hid under the bed or whatever. I think that that's what happened. You know, I think that the issue was always here. We always had that problem with racism, and we always had that problem with privilege in this country. But one of the biggest problems was that, you know, because President Obama was elected, you saw a lot of people who were covert racists really come out of the closet to being overt racist, and you really saw racism really step into the forefront of the discussion.
Yeah, I think that people in power, you know, are more adept to showing their true colors because they kind of really don't even respect his presidency right now.
No, there's a lot of people who are. One of the someone who worked for Colin Powell said that, you know, there are people who are directly opposed and diametrically opposed to President Obama's presidency simply because he's a black man.
He's a black man.
And so that is a lot of people don't like to talk about that, a lot of people don't mention that, but that's a real and serious issue, and that's a fact, and that's something that we have to accept.
Well, I think people from day one knew that once he became president, it was going to be what it is. You know, we as black people expected more from him, you know, as what he would do to offer and to help out the black community. But, you know, I told people all the time, he's the president. Mm-hmm. He's not a black president. He's not a white president. He's an American president. And if you got to follow the American guidelines and American standards, black people understand that anything that's put in place isn't about supporting black people.
Yeah, well, now here's the thing that I this goes along the line of what you were saying. One of the things that I discussed with people a lot was that I didn't want people to get caught up with this, you know, Messiah complex where Obama was concerned. And I wanted people to keep them in perspective because, you know, there were a lot of people comparing him to Malcolm and comparing him to Martin, and I didn't really think those comparisons were valid.
Fair.
Yeah, you know, because, I mean, Obama's a politician at the end of the day, and he has to, you know, America is a system, you know what I'm saying? And so a politician can only deviate so far from the system in order to be successful. So a lot of us expected, you know, racism to end overnight, unrealistically. We expected, you know, we didn't have to struggle, that we wouldn't have to deal with systemic racism, that we wouldn't have to deal with privilege. And that was really just a lot of unrealistic expectations.
Well, I think, you know, this is just for me personally, I think that Obama has gotten angrier through his second term. And I mean angrier to the point where I don't think he's thinking out things as much as he did in his first 4 terms. I think he's acting more on, like, you know, emotions right now.
Well, he came in to office, I think, he came in with an idea he wanted to please.
Okay, now, and hold on for a second. And my whole thing, the only reason why I said that, you know, I listened to Farrakhan the other day. He was talking about all the wars we're in and all the bombs we're doing. You know, and based on what Mr. Farrakhan said and based on other people saying, he's involved in more wars than any president.
Well, yeah, he's. I think if you look at strictly statistically, he's dropped more bombs than George W. Bush did.
Yeah.
And that's barring the Iraq War. But you look at President Obama's record, and you look at the drone strike usage, which I've always said, I've always been concerned about that, and I've always said that the ethical use of drones, is way behind the technology. Because, I mean, right now we have drones and we have technology that we could drop bombs. Someone could drop bombs in this building right now using a drone strike. And so I think that there has been a lot with President Obama that we expected as black people, but I also think that we expected these things unrealistically. I
Yeah.
don't think that we were being honest with ourselves about what he was or who he was.
I think real black people that knew the deal, that understand what the politics was about, didn't expect. They didn't expect no more than what they get now.
Right.
We, as just common citizens, expected that, especially black people, because
Yeah.
hey, we got the first black president in, and for the last 400 years, we were saying there would never be a black president.
Yeah.
But then when we got a black president, our way of thinking was and it was good because we started thinking real positive.
Yeah.
But as time went on, we seen that things didn't really change. Things actually got worse because of the hate for him.
Well, we honestly, when you look at it, and I'll be honest with you, and I'm sure you felt the same way. I felt like there wouldn't have been a black president. I didn't think that even with the grassroots swell in 2008, and I even did some local campaigning on behalf of the Obama campaign. But even then, I thought even after he got the nomination, I just didn't believe it could happen. So when it did happen, it's understandable that some people were like, "Oh my God!" and there was a
Yeah.
feeling of
Yeah.
jubilation. So there is an understanding because we felt like as a people, we jumped a hurdle where a glass ceiling that we think couldn't get shattered did get shattered.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we really lost sight of the fact that he's a man, he's a politician, and there's really only a certain amount of things that he was going to do
Yeah.
for the black community. And so we had unrealistic
And
expectations.
I believe that he wanted to do more. He's still trying to do more. It's just that when you're handcuffed and your hands are tied, and they overwhelm you with so many different things, you kind of lose focus on your people. And he's black, so I know he's concerned about his people, and I know he thinks about his people. But they overwhelming him right now, and that's their plan though. They keep him overwhelmed. That means he can't focus on things that's affecting America, like joblessness, homelessness, domestic abuse, racism at its fullest. I just can't understand how politicians, how people that's in office can totally disrespect him. But being the man that he is, being whatever Christian that he is or whatever Muslim that he is, he smiles and keep going on about his business. And that just tell me, and I tell people that did that against him, that one thing about black people, you can't break us. Now you can bend us, but you ain't gonna break us.
No doubt. And I noticed that one of the things I noticed is that President Obama, without making excuses for him, because I've been critical of a lot of the things that he's done during his first and second. I was a little underwhelmed with his first term and the second term. But I will say that one of the things that I did notice with President Obama was that he received, if you look at Congress, we have a very obstructionist Congress. We have a Congress that really doesn't do anything. You look at John Boehner. John Boehner is going to go down in history, in my opinion.
He's the most negative. What is he?
I mean, he's useless there. If you look at John Boehner as Speaker of the House, he really hasn't done anything. Then you look at the House; they haven't really passed any legislation.
The only thing John Boehner is Speaker of the House for is oppose anything that
they're
the Obama
obstructionists.
administration try to pass.
Yes, they're strictly obstructionists. It's all about stopping whatever agenda the president.
This is my thing is I wonder how their kids, grandkids can look or looked at when they walk the streets, when they go out. I got to be hard on them because young people, no matter what status you are, you have feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And these are young people. And I know they want to hang out, they want to do stuff, but I just wonder how they feel and what they go through.
I'm sure that there's some level of empathy, but I also believe that classism is taught, and so we don't you look at brothers like yourself and myself. We don't really think about classism in terms. You're a brother, I'm a brother. We both working hard. We both trying to get ahead. But the upper class, really rich people who are in the upper class, they really have a sense of classism, and they really have a sense of self-entitlement. And so they protect that sense of self-entitlement, and they indoctrinate it to their children and their children and their children. And so they tend to have this kind of high-mindedness where they look down on.
As much as we cry about it, they feel as though, and they probably, have that right to mentally because they got it.
Well,
I said mentally. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's supposed to be like that, but mentally, their parents got them thinking, you are better than them.
Exactly.
That's just like if somebody went out and hit the lottery today,
yeah.
especially black, what they gonna buy?
Yeah.
What the first thing they gonna buy? You gonna buy a car?
Yeah,
It used to be a
cars,
Cadillac,
homes.
but it might be a Benz or a Lexus now. But when they come down that street, they're gonna be looking like $1 million. At
Yeah.
that moment, they feel that listen, I'm here and you're there. It
Yeah.
might be temporarily,
Yeah.
but that's how they feel.
But you know what? That's and I hate to, cause see, I get in trouble when I say this because then people start throwing the socialist and communist.
But look, hold
flags
on
around.
thought. We're gonna take a break.
Okay,
and we'll
all right.
come back and let you pick up that.
All right.
Hey,
this is Let's Talk About It.
and this is Let's Talk About It. And brother Saeed,
This is your man Doc say.
peace.
The media. Yes, your television. Don't turn me off now. The media and the entertainment industry is the #1 propeller for racial stereotypes. Why? Because their message or programming intent reach the masses the quickest.
Everybody, this is your main man, brother Saeed.
Hey, this is your man Doc
We're
Singh.
back again with Let's Talk About It, and we're going to pick up where we left off before the break.
And one of the things I was covering, I think I was about to go into, was, and I don't, like I said, I don't like to go too far down this rabbit hole because a lot of people, they like to throw the word socialism, communism around, and I don't really lean that way. But I will say that the way our system is set up financially, we value people based on their wealth. You know what I'm saying? When people ask what you're worth, when they say what you're worth, they mean how much money
How
do you
much
have.
money you have.
You know what I'm saying? So that's really a very telling, kind of statement on how we view ourselves
Yeah.
in society.
That's just like-
so, yeah, when we get some money, we're going to, there's always going to be this sense of
But,
high-mindedness.
and but it's nothing wrong with that. But when you put yourself above people, but then when you get knocked down, you want to come back home to the neighborhood and ask for our sympathy. I don't get down like that.
Exactly.
OJ, classic example. I will never ever forgive OJ. Now I don't know if he killed the lady or not, but I will never ever forgive OJ for what he did to black people. When he got in trouble, he came back to the neighborhood. All of a sudden he was black. He had the black Muslims being his bodyguards. He had the black Muslims doing things with him. But then just soon he got found not guilty, he kicked the black people to the curb and started messing with the white girl again. That was his downfall. Now and let me say this: I don't care who you mess with, but if you're gonna do one, do it. Don't you can't play the fence, and that's
Yeah.
what he did to us.
I don't have a problem with OJ as far as interracial relationships.
Me
I did
neither.
have a problem with him as an individual. I always say, and I always tell brothers and sisters, please be careful about who you support and who you throw your weight behind. Because some of these brothers and sisters, everybody, my brother Chuck said, every brother ain't a brother.
Every brother ain't a brother.
So we throw our support behind brothers and sisters sometimes, and they don't necessarily deserve
Well,
that
that's
support.
but that's our culture though. That's
Well, we have a powerful sense of family.
right. And one thing about black people, and I tell people this all the time: no matter what we go through, we'll always bring you back to the family.
Oh yeah,
That's our nature. That's part of our culture, our heritage. But when you come back, and then when you kind of split on us, I don't have no love for you when you try to come back.
Yeah, you can't. Honestly, I like that we keep the light on. I don't think we should. I think we should keep the light on for brothers and sisters who, who need that support from the community. But again, we have to be conscious and
We
mindful
have to be conscious
and
and
of
mindful.
who we are supporting and who we're getting behind. Because some of our brothers and sisters really do not have our best interests as a community at heart, and a lot of them will use us to get from A to B.
When I first moved here, people was coming to me, and the first thing these black people were selling me on was, well, this person is, this person is, this person is, and talking about that they're running, who are they running against, whether mostly white, and they try to hit me with this black. My question to them was, what have you done for black people?
Yeah, and
You tell me what you done for black people. Now, I just moved here in '95. They tell me you've been in office for 8, 9, 10 years. Tell me what you did for black people.
exactly.
So don't come and tell me about what they're not doing. Tell me what you're doing, because I don't care about them.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, if I'm gonna support you, you gotta tell me. And then and they still haven't told me what they're doing. That's why I don't vote for them.
Yeah, honestly, that's funny you would say that because I had someone who, and I don't have anything against Senator Kay Hagan.
Coming to the Big Chat this November 2014, it's Coffee Time with host Donald Walker and Denise Shaw. You're invited to coffee and great conversations about issues that matter to you. It's Coffee Time, Big Chat style.
Hey everybody, we're back again. Well, let's talk about it. And this is your main man, Brother Saeed.
This is your man, Doc Sin.
And we're gonna pick right up where we left off on Kay Hagan and Tom Tillis.
Yeah, like I was saying before, I had a representative from Kay Hagan come to the House, actually. And like I said before, I'm not going to vote for Tom Tillis. There's no point in me voting for Tom Tillis. I know what he's about and know what he stands for. But it's not just about not voting for someone. I have to have a reason why I should vote for Kay Hagan. It's not enough for us to say, okay, he's bad, let's vote for her. There needs to be a reason. They need to be addressing our needs. They need to be addressing what we've got going on, what's going on in our communities. If they don't address our needs, if they don't address our interests, then we're not going to be represented. So we don't need to fall behind and throw our support behind candidates on both sides of the aisle who don't address the specific needs of us, of our people in the black community.
Well, I think our people in the black community, young people, period, are getting more involved in politics. They see the corruption in the politics, and they see the bamboozle in the politics. So I think they're making a more of a concerted effort to involve themselves in politics. And, and I tell people this all the time. The only way this world is going to get better if young people control politics. What they're thinking, with their ideology, and just their way of doing things. It's that they have to get rid of that old money, because old money it never dies, but you can move it out of the picture. You know what I mean? And until young people, figure out what their true cause is, what their fight is, the country's gonna be like it is. The world's gonna be like it is.
Well, you mentioned the Tea Party. In particular, I tell a lot of young people, one of the biggest beliefs that young people have is that their vote doesn't count. It doesn't matter. The system's corrupt. And there's a system that's out there that wants them to believe that. But if you, like you said, the Tea Party, if you use them as an example, once they came together, they became a significant power and significant voting bloc because politicians had to address their needs because they were unified. And so if we have a bunch of unified young people who are focused on their issues and their concerns, they have to be acknowledged. And politicians will be forced to respect
And
them.
the thing about it is they can't choose sides. They have to challenge the Democrats and the Republicans.
Absolutely.
Their format has to be their format.
Absolutely.
I mean, they can't compromise. Their format has to be their format. Just like I said with the Tea Party. Mm-hmm. Their format was their format. Even though a lot of us didn't agree with it, it was their format, and they got in. And they made some changes, whether they was wrong or right. They was a voice.
Absolutely.
So we need to get off of this thing where it's a Republican, it's a Democrat thing. It's the independent thing, because every individual has the opportunity to vote for who they want to vote for.
Yeah, well, historically, you notice that the Republican Party has never really had the interests of African American and people of color at heart. That said, blind allegiance to the Democratic Party is not going to help us as a people either, because if they assume that they're going to get our vote, then they're not going to act in our interest either. We have to move them in such a way that they're going to be interested in what we got going on, in our issues. If they want to get our support, they have to take an interest in what we've got going on. And I would even go as far as to say I'd like to see young people form a third party. Something that really addresses the needs specifically of young black people and black people in general. Something that's going to put them in a position of power rather than a position of weakness.
Yeah, and I think if they do that, their ideology has to be about politics. Uh-huh. Even though it should be a concern, it should concern black people, it still has to be about politics. But the right kind of politics. The politics are going to help us and help everybody really think about what we're going through right now.
Well, the biggest problem that we're having in politics, I think, right now, are the social issues. I think that everyone agrees that, everyone wants the roads fixed, everyone wants the schools, renovated, everyone wants to make sure education is well funded, everybody wants to make sure that, there are enough jobs, there's enough food on the table. I think that the social issues are really a problem. We have a lot of young people, young black men are still being stigmatized as criminals and racists, and young black women are still being stigmatized as welfare queens and deadbeats and moochers, even though young black women, by and large, are more in college than they are receiving public assistance.
Well, you know what that goes back to, though. Media again.
Absolutely.
It just goes straight back to media.
Well, see, when we have a political party that are addressing these social issues, and it's fueled by young people, they can turn that around. You know, they can turn that, they can kick back against that false media narrative that says you're this and you're that. You know, you're not worth anything. Because the reality of it is, most young black women are in college. You know, and most young black men, despite what you hear, despite what you listen to, they're not in jail. Many of us are also in school.
No, I was on my Facebook, and my man got this thing called Politics on Wax, whatever. It's pretty deep. Politics on Tape. It's a pretty nice little spot that my man put together. But a guy was on there said that he want his kids to go to. This is the black brother now. I don't want to say his name. I ain't trying to put him right there. He said he want his kids to go to a white college, a white university, and I read his reasons why. But then I hit him back and saying, you know, these are all your reasons why, but look at what they're doing to Winston. All the reasons why you said you wanted your son to go to to a white university is they flipping it on the dude, the football player. They don't want him to make no money, but the school's making money.
Well, that always bothers me when we feel like.
Hold on, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about black collar sports.
All right. Okay.
You know, and we're gonna give you our opinion. I'm gonna give you my opinion. Doc's gonna give you his opinion, and you're watching.
Let's talk about it.
Peace.
Carter G. Woodson was born December 19, 1875 in New Canton, Virginia. Convinced that the role of his people in American history and in the history of other cultures was being ignored or misrepresented among scholars, Woodson realized the need for research into the neglected past of African Americans. In 1926, Woodson pioneered the celebration of Negro History Week. The week of recognition became accepted and has been extended as the full month of February, known as Black History Month. This is Wesley Locks Daniels, and this has been your Black History Moment.
All right, welcome back. This is Let's Talk About It with your man, Doc Sin.
And it's your main man, Brother Saeed.
And Saeed, you were about to get into colleges, and I know this leads into something that you're pretty passionate about, and that's, historically black colleges and universities, and school and sports, and young people being involved in that cipher. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Well, my thing about sports, especially the NCAA period, is that they use any, like Malcolm said, by any means necessary to exploit young athletes, no matter what color you are. And
that's true.
You know, no matter what color you are. And they got all these guidelines that is set up to benefit them, but not the student athlete. You know, it's just like, you can go down the history. There's cats from Carolina right now that's crying about what Carolina did to them. It's just athletes are coming out the woodwork saying how they was being manipulated by the college system. And I try to tell young brothers and sisters, if you go into college for 1 year, why not go to HBCU school and help them make money? Improve their economy. You know, because you're only going to be in school for 1 or 2 years. So what's the difference from going to a school like A&T, Central, and school, Graham, and school that needs money, to opposed to going to a major university? And I tell people this, and I tell people all the time, don't beat my head up with exposure. Because the only reason why these schools heard about you is through word of mouth. That's exposure. You know, and then I tell them no matter where these athletes go, ESPN gonna be there, because ESPN is like anybody else. They're about money. So when people tell me they want their kids to go to this school and that school, I said, you know what? Only reason why you want this kid to go to that school because you've been brainwashed.
Yeah, well, what bothers me about their whole mentality, I'm going to send my kid to a white school. First of all,
Hold on, let me say this for you. I'm gonna let you get that.
Go ahead.
I don't care what school a person want to send their kid to, but if your reason is because you're thinking a white university is better than a black university, that's where I had an issue.
Yeah, that's exactly, you touched on it. That's my problem with it. It's not about where they want to send their kids.
I don't care where they go.
You know, I have a daughter, she's considering going to state, she's considering going to A&T. And my whole thing is, it's about I want to send my kid to a white school because white is better. That really kind of fuels the whole systemic racism. It really kind of fortifies the whole mentality of white supremacy in this country. That bothers me.
And if they look at it, if you go down all these major corporations now, a lot of their vice presidents of these corporations are from historically black colleges.
Yes.
I tell people to check that out.
Yeah, so with that mentality really kind of is fuel for the engine of systemic racism, because you are acknowledging and saying, okay, white's better than black. And you are really feeding that whole that paradigm. and you have to move away from that. We're never going to get away from that. Still, we start taking pride in our own, we start supporting our own, and we start putting energy into our own, and leave this whole white is better mentality behind.
Yeah. And I just like, when Dr. Dre last year gave USC $35 million, now $1 billion school. And one of the black professors asked him, why didn't he give historically black colleges money? In his own words, he pretty much said because it was his money. And right then and there, I boycotted buying Beats. And I tell these young kids and these going to these black universities, why are you supporting somebody that don't support you? Them Beats are $150 a piece. But you'll buy them, but he's not supporting you. So why would you do that?
Well, we have this mentality in our community. For some reason, we really don't support each other financially on a financial level, and we've never really had that mentality, and I think it stems basically from the kind of conditioning we've received since slavery. But we've never been a type of people, and that needs to change. We have some of the most powerful purchasing power in this country. We buy everything as a black community, even those of us who might be living in poor and impoverished areas. We have the power. We have spending power. We just have to invest in us.
Well, we have spending power, and people say we need to invest in us, and I don't fully totally agree or fully disagree, but the only way our spending power is going to work is when our black rich people totally support themselves to the black community.
Absolutely.
And we need to totally support them like they need to totally support us. That's when our spending power will work, because once them dollars shift back into the black community totally, that's when we can make a stand and say this is what we want.
That's how economy works. The money has to come back into the community as it goes out of the community.
And you can't ask.
And that's what makes the community
And you
strong.
can't ask for. I hate when people say, "Well, we need to put dollars back," and I agree with you. But you can't ask poor people that's struggling to put money back in the community when you got filthy rich people, filthy rich black people that refuse to put money back in the community, but they on TV talking you to buy a $175 pair of sneakers.
Well, that's I had a discussion with, and I was.
Let me finish tripping. Let me finish tripping. And right there and there, that's why we don't need to. We don't need to boycott white people. We need to boycott black people. We need to boycott anybody black that don't support us, and we support them 100%.
Hey everyone, it's finally here. It's Get the Black Mind Right online magazine. Visit www.gettheblackmindright.com for a new experience in black thought, black life, and black power. And once again, get the black mind right.
All right, we're back. This is Let's Talk About It with your brother Doc Sin.
Your main man, Brother Saeed.
I want to thank you for watching the show this week. We had a very spirited conversation as always. Always up building with my brother Saeed. Make sure, again, you tune in to Mod 48 right here next Saturday, 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. And check out Let's Talk About It with myself and my brother Saeed. You can also check me out on Blog Talk Radio, www.blogtalkradio.com/DocSin. Check out my Facebook, facebook.com/officialdocsin. Follow me on Twitter @DocSin, and you can email me at pavementmedia@gmail.com.
And you can follow me at pitchvine@yahoo.com. That's my email. You know how to do it. I'm on Facebook, Larry Saeed Wright, Pitchvine TV, Pitchvine Film Awards.
All right, peace.